Hi, my name is James. I'm a knee, foot and ankle specialist, and today I'm going to talk you through the best shoes for metatarsalgia. Now, metatarsalgia is a broad term for pain in the metatarsal joint under the ball of your foot, and the three shoes that we've chosen today have different functions in terms of stability, performance, comfort and fit, and all of these factors can influence what you feel in the ball of your foot, so it's important to listen to each feature to get an idea of what type of shoe might work best for your foot type. Now, it's important to remember all information in the video is for educational advice only and shouldn't substitute medical advice. So the first thing we'll talk about is cushioning, and in the Brooks Glycerin Max we've got 45mm of cushioning in the rear foot, 39 in the forefoot, giving you a 6mm difference from the back to the front of the shoe, and it comes in about 297 grams for men's 9 US. Now the drop and the cushion is really important because if you have a high drop shoe, it places extra pressure on the ball of your foot and can irritate your symptoms, whereas we classify a low drop from 6mm and below. So we've got a 6mm drop here, but we've got 39mm of cushion in the forefoot, which is one of the highest volumes of cushioning under that forefoot, which is really good for absorbing the vibration, which tends to irritate metatarsalgia pain when we walk or when we run. In contrast to that, we've got the Altra Via Olympus 2. Now, this shoe is a zero drop shoe, so there's no difference from the back to the front of the shoe, so it's completely flat. It's got 33mm of cushioning underneath your foot, so it's considered a maximus cushion shoe like the Glycerin Max. So having a zero drop and loads of cushioning is really helpful. However, the sole is a lot firmer underneath. So yes, you do sink into it a little bit when you apply pressure to it, but it's super plush, super soft, cloud-like feel in the Brooks, and we'll touch on that later, but just important to keep that in mind. And if you've never had a zero drop shoe before, it can be quite a hard transition, and it's important to make sure that you've got the ankle flexibility to be able to tolerate the zero drop in the Altra. Then it's a shoe that sits somewhere in between the two in terms of cushioning and drop. We've got a Topo Atmos, which has 38mm in the rear foot, 33 in the forefoot, giving a 5mm drop, so slightly lower than what you get in the Glycerin Max. It's got zip foam cushioning underneath, so it is plush, so when you apply pressure you sink into it a little bit. It's a little bit more plush and soft than what you get in the Altra, but not as soft as what you get in the Brooks. So it sits somewhere in the middle. It's got a nice 5mm drop, so you get nice even distribution of force across the forefoot. And then something that's really important is the rocker on the forefoot. So if you look at from the midsole to the forefoot, it's curved upwards, and that means it ensures a nice smooth push through when you walk or when you run. It also reduces the amount of extension required in your toes when you go to push off, and it's that hyperextension or that extension that can really irritate your metatarsal joint pain. So having a forefoot rocker and a low drop with lots of cushioning makes a significant difference, and that's what we get in the Topo. We have a nice aggressive rocker without too much toe spring. Now, toe spring is when the toes are held in an extended position at rest, so when you're standing that can be really uncomfortable, but we chose three shoes that have very minimal toe spring in them. Now, the Altra doesn't have as aggressive as a forefoot rocker as what you get in the Topo, but it doesn't necessarily need it because it's got that zero drop. And then you've got a very late aggressive forefoot rocker in the Glycerin Max, so you can see rather than starting at the midfoot, it starts very late on and then drops up very quickly. So there's next to no toe spring in this compared to the other two shoes, and a really late aggressive propulsion phase of the gait cycle. Then in terms of stability, all three shoes are what we classify as max cushion neutral shoes, but there are elements of stability in them. For instance, with the Atmos, what you have is some sidewalls that come up along the arch of the foot on the inside and then on the outside of the foot. They come up from the midsole, help cradle the foot, reduce the amount that can move side to side, and tries to keep your foot centered in the shoe. It's got mild to moderate stiffness on the heel counter, which cradles your heel and helps keep it nice and stable, but has a really broad base of support, so from the midsole up to the forefoot it broadens out nicely, again increasing your contact with the ground, therefore increasing the stability of the shoe. In the Altra, we've got a nice broad forefoot and midsole as well that helps add extra stability to it, and it's got sidewalls further back, so more towards the heel on the inside and on the outside, combined with a softer heel cup, so they brought the sidewall slightly back to try and give you that extra stability that you don't get from the heel counter. Now, having a soft heel counter is really good if you've got conditions like insertional Achilles tendinopathy or a Haglund's deformity, as it doesn't put much pressure on the back of the heel. Then finally, with the Ghost Glycerin Max, you've got some sidewalls in the midfoot here and on the outside as well, and you've got a nice broad base of support that doesn't narrow very much. A couple of caveats with this. While it's got the DNA nitrogen infused cushion midsole, it is soft, not crazy soft, but having such a big midsole can make a shoe inherently a little bit unstable. So if you have a history of peroneal issues, posterior tibial tendon issues, having this much cushioning can make the shoe a little bit unstable and can challenge those muscles and tendons more. So there is a chance that it could irritate those symptoms. Similarly, if you've got issues with your Achilles tendon, the low drop on the Altra might be hard to adjust to. So some things to keep in mind. Then as we move up into the toe box, we've got different toe boxes in each, which is important. So you've got a relatively normal to moderately wide toe box on the Glycerin Max. So for me, there was plenty of space in there. In a Hoka, for instance, I need to get a wide version because I can't fit in there. So not a problem with this, and it wasn't a problem with the length. So true to size, moderate amount of space in the toe box. In contrast to that, in the Altra, you've got an anatomical toe box. So it's nice and broad in the toe box. So it's got a moderate width in the heel and in the midfoot, and then it really broadens out in the forefoot, and that's what Altra are renowned for. So it gives you plenty of space in there, allows your toes to splay, really comfortable if you've got metatarsalgia combined with other conditions like a bunion or a bunionette. Then finally in the Topo, we think they've mastered the fit the most. So they've got a really snug heel and a really snug midfoot, and then a really broad forefoot. So even broader than what you get in the Altra. Loads of space for your toes to splay, a really broad base underneath to give you a nice stable base underneath your forefoot. And this is probably one of the best fitting shoes for us. And for those of you who have a narrow heel, narrow midfoot, and then a broad forefoot, which we often see with patients with hallux valgus or bunions, this can be an excellent option for you. If you've got broader foot generally, then the Altra might be a better version for you. So overall, as we move up the shoe, you've got nice padded tongues on all three shoes. You've got mild padding on the heel counter on the Topo and on the Altra, with a little bit more padding around the Brooks, which is the reason why it's a little bit heavier. And then it's a bit more plush, a bit more sock-like feel, as opposed to the engineered fit on top of the uppers on the Altra and on the Topo. So in terms of running, the Brooks is more of a cruiser shoe, recovery days, easy runs, a little bit too heavy to go to do any up-tempo work or longer work. You could do some longer work with the Altra, not really a very fast shoe. It's a little bit firm underfoot, but plenty of padding, plenty of cushioning, so you can do long distance with it. And then a really light shoe, lots of cushioning underneath, really good for long runs, for ultra distances, more of a definitely a road shoe than an off-road shoe, and it covers your bases 5, 10, 15k, no problem in the Topo. All three shoes can be used for standing all day. If you work in a job where you have to stand on your feet for long periods of time, not a problem with any of these. So overall, three excellent shoes. If you've got any questions on them, please leave them in the comment section below. We've got links to all three shoes in the description. If you buy through the shoes, it helps fund the channel without affecting the price that you pay for the shoes. Otherwise, just sharing, liking and subscribing to our channel makes a big difference. Thank you very much for watching.